Quick Change is a 1990 release crime comedy directed by Howard Franklin and Bill Murray.
Yes, don't forget to subscribe down here at any point if you like what you're watching. Yes, so it also stars Bill Murray as Grim, strange name, but we'll go with it. Who at the start we see him dressed as a clown, getting on the what do they call the underground in New
Subway.
York? The subway. That's it.
Wanna do that again?
If you want. Are you going to go again?
No.
No. Cool. Okay. So yeah, it also stars Bill Murray as Grim. A bit of a strange name, but we'll go with it. When we first meet him, he's on the subway, dressed as a clown, and he's on his way to the bank to rob it. He takes the hostages that are in there, and quickly the alarms go off, and the police arrive, and the chief of police is there, played by Jason Robards, who we've mentioned recently, actually, in The Day After.
That's true. Yep.
And his plan is in motion. He obviously makes some demands in exchange for releasing some hostages. They bring him, I think, what does he want? A bus and a Harley,
A monster truck,
and a helicopter. That's it. Yes. So yeah, the heist continues, and they make their escape. Well, I'll mention his accomplices are played by Geena Davis and Randy Quaid, who we've mentioned before in Parents. Quite a different role in this from that. And yes, so they are then obviously on their way to get out of the city with their ill-gotten gains. They're trying to get to the airport to get to Fiji. But, because this is a comedy, it doesn't quite go according to plan, and everything seems to go wrong, and they don't seem to be able to make the quite short journey, really, from New York into to the JFK airport. And on the way, they meet various hilarious characters.
Yeah, there's quite a few guest bit part guest roles.
Well, I think it's some quite early roles for say like Tony Shalhoub, like turns up as a cab driver who doesn't speak any English, and we see Tony. I've just said Tony. And there's also Stanley Tucci in there as like a mob guy.
Henchman, mob guy or something, yeah.
So who else is in there? Phil Hartman,
yeah,
who you might know from The Simpsons, who sadly passed away about 20 years ago. So it's kind of one of those 90s comedies where, set in New York, where New York is portrayed as this hellhole that no one wants to really be in. Everyone's miserable and hates each other, and Bill Murray spends most of the movie complaining about how much he hates the city and can't wait to leave.
Yeah, it's essentially that, isn't it? It's about a guy who hates the place he lives in this case New York, but can't for the life of him get out of New York, and in this film that's what he's literally trying to do, and everything kind of goes up against him. I mean, yeah, we're in similar territory. I think someone described this film as a cross between The Out-of-Towners and After Hours. Both films being After Hours, quite similar, I think, being that, it's about everything that could go wrong in a night goes wrong. And there are quite a few films that have come out over the years. Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Pfeiffer did Into the Night, directed by John Landis, which is another one. Adventures in Babysitting. I was kind of Falling Down, the kind of Michael Douglas. And also Falling Down, the Michael Douglas one, where he really kind of gets fed up with it, everything that's going on around him, and that's obviously not a comedy.
No, a little bit more serious in tone.
A bit more serious, but a similar kind of territory, I suppose. This one actually was, I didn't realise until reading about it today, it was actually a remake. There was a book in the early 80s, and there was a film in 1985, I think it was French-Canadian, called Hold Up, and it's the same, it's exactly the same story. And he's called Grim in that as well, which is probably where the name comes from. And that film had Kim Cattrall in it, and it was made in Canada, I think. But the lead guy, I'd never heard of, but he's a French chap. So, but apparently that one's quite a lot of people enjoyed that one as well. This one came along 5 years later, and it's really good.
Yeah,
it's very good. It's kind of, I think, one of those films that slightly gone under the surface a little bit. It wasn't a hit at the time.
No, not a huge one. I mean, obviously, I think from around that period, the biggest Bill Murray film is probably Groundhog Day, isn't it? I think that was
a couple of years something like later, yeah.
And What About Bob, I think, is around a similar time. That's not quite on the level of Groundhog Day, but I think that's probably better known than this, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a string of sort of quite, really good comedies. Ghostbusters 2 was the year before this. Maybe not as great, but
it's got some good stuff in Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah. Again, that's about New Yorkers being miserable and hating each other.
That's true.
So it's a common trend for Bill Murray films. But no, it's good. You know, I hadn't seen it for a long time, and no, it's a solid.
It's well written. Being a Bill Murray film, it's obviously got a lot of very quotable one-liners in there. Who doesn't like Bill Murray? He's such a great. It's a great screen presence, and he's so dry and sarcastic, and I think that's great because, especially because British humour is usually very sarcastic. American humour doesn't always do that. So occasionally, when you get the sarcastic comedians, we love it over here, and it's just, I mean, he's a comical genius, really.
Definitely.
And he can do straight very well as well, and I think he can play. I mean, I think I may have mentioned this before. I think that the best way you can do comedy is to play it straight. And he always plays it really straight, and he's hilarious for it. And Randy Quaid, obviously, you know, he's cropped up in a few things over the years, Parents, as we did before, and he's famous for things. But also Geena Davis. Geena Davis is such a great actor. I've always really enjoyed her work. Obviously, she's in The Fly, which is a really great horror from the 80s, one of my favourites from the 80s.
Long Kiss Goodnight.
Long Kiss Goodnight she was in, and Beetlejuice, of course, she was in that, and The Accidental Tourist, which is a film with William Hurt, which is a really, really good film. I enjoyed that a lot. Earth Girls Are Easy. Yep. Because, of course, she was married to Jeff Goldblum for a time. So I've always enjoyed her work. I think she's really another great screen presence, and the chemistry between them is really good in this film. Yeah, I mean, there's not a huge amount to say about this one. Obviously, it's probably, because it wasn't the biggest commercial hit, there's probably a few people out there that haven't seen it.
No.
And then a few of you that have. Obviously. But I really enjoyed it, and I think it's, you know, obviously the robbery at the beginning doesn't take up a lot of screen time.
No.
And it's there very quick.
It's more about the disasters that happen afterwards.
That happen. Oh, Kurtwood Smith, you forgot to mention.
Oh, yes.
He's also in there. He's obviously from Robocop.
Yeah.
We've mentioned him a few times in the past. And he's as creepy in this as he always is. He's a great actor.
Yeah. What did occur to me while watching this is our very first video was about The Chase, the Adam Rifkin film starring Charlie Sheen. Yeah, his character is accused of robbing banks dressed as a clown. So that reminded me of that. And there's also a scene when Bill Murray's trying to get some change for the bus. And it was one of the funniest scenes, I think, when he's waiting for this person buying loads and loads of stuff in the store, just waiting for them to pack it really slowly. And then to get some change, the cashier has to open I think it's a roll of quarters or something, and he's bashing it to try and open it, and then they go everywhere. And exactly the same gag happens in The Chase. Yes.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's a couple of links there.
Well, so whether The Chase was, paying a bit of homage to Quick Change.
That's true, and also in The Chase there is that wonderful moment when I think she looks at him and then tries to imagine him as a clown, and he's got the clown suit on. And then right at the end of the film, there's a bit at the end, isn't there?
He does a speech from Apocalypse Now, yeah.
That's right, dressed as a clown as well. Well, that's interesting. So yes,
little movie connections there. And of course, The Chase also has Ray Wise in it, who's also in Robocop as one of Kurtwood Smith's henchmen.
That's quite a tenuous link there,
It's a bit tenuous, but, you know... There you go.
So obviously, we are going back to 1990 now. What's the availability of this one?
Well, it is available on DVD, and that's it, really. It's never released in the UK on DVD.
Never come out over here?
No. It is kind of a little bit forgotten. Almost,
yeah, I think it is.
There's no Blu-ray or anything. It's, like I said, never released in the UK on DVD, and this is from the US. There's no extras on it, apart from a trailer. So a bit unfairly forgotten, I think.
Yeah, I think if you don't know it, I recommend seeking it out because it's very funny.
Yeah,
the whole Jason Robards is excellent.
He is, yeah.
And he kind of that whole playing it straight when he's not playing comedy in it, but he's kind of taken the film seriously. And when you have a comedy that works, you do need characters, unless it's a zany comedy. If you have characters in there who are taking the film seriously, it can make the other side of it actually quite, the comedy side of it work really well.
I think there's also a few scenes where you see that actually they feel the same way about the city. Jason Robards is a bit sick.
There's a couple of, there's a wonderful moment at the beginning where he looks up and they're like revamping a building and it cuts to Bill Murray basically saying the same thing.
About a different building, yeah.
So I think, if you haven't seen this one, I recommend check it out. Especially if you like Bill Murray. If you like Bill Murray and you haven't seen it, Where have you
Go
been?
for it.
So that was Quick Change, and as always, leave us a comment in the comments below.
Yep, and don't forget to subscribe and check out some of our other videos over there. And come and join us on Twitter and Facebook for some filmy chat. And join us again soon for another video.